Outer Orange. Ever want to play a deck that's just a little bit different and a little bit unique but still V premium? Well, that is what this video is about. We're going to be discussing a Bang deck, but it's called 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞. It's kind of a unique deck. It's a little bit in that budgety area if you just ignore perfect guards, honestly, in this clan, and it's pretty fun. This is one I built recently and I've been having a lot of fun with. If you like Granblue and you like Dimension Police all kind of in one deck, well, this deck is like for you. It even has like a touch of Zorga as it relies on orders. And it's just, I cannot explain how much fun I've had with this deck, but what I can explain is how to play the deck. So let's go on and do that, guys. Welcome back to another OuterOrange video. We are here today to discuss Bang 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞, the deck profile, so let's get on to it. Alright, so I'm back. Here is the kind of like what it looks like. Here's the 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞 stuff right here. I don't have a deck box for this deck, actually. I've just been kind of throwing it with my piles because I recently built it and I'm just kind of trying to figure it out. But anyway, I do have my sleeves. This is the blackout sleeves for overdress, and I have the white ones on my Zorga ones, and I have the black ones for these because honestly, like if you look at the way these the art for this looks, honestly the blackout sleeves just fit it so nice and fitting, so that's what I did here. Let's go ahead and talk about the deck profile. I'll explain it to you from start to finish, kind of how this deck works, because this is definitely one of those decks where you actually have to play it. Like you have to play it to kind of understand how it works. So I'll definitely be doing kind of like a mulligan with you guys and going over the kind of the full gist of how this deck is. And so we're going to start with Phenomenal Diva Layer. This is your grade 3 right here, and she has the skill of during your turn, if you have a drop zone with 5 or more music cards, those are your order cards, this unit gets plus 15k. So this deck cycles a lot, and we'll be seeing this quite a lot as we're going to go through this. So that's her first skill. Now her second skill says counterblast, draw a card, and one of your rear guards gets 10k to a turn. This is once per turn, and I know it kind of sounds kind of bad, but as you see, this deck kind of starts stacking with a lot of power, and actually we need that power to do other things. So it kind of has like that Dimension Police approach where if your Vanguard and rearguards have a certain power, some conditions are applied, and then if your drop zone has certain amount of orders, or music orders in this case, then also some conditions are also met, and we'll be kind of going over that as we get further in. So that's our grade 3. We're going to go ahead and put her right over here. Let's go ahead and talk about our grade 2s. This is Bloom of Talent Luck, and her skill states if a music has been played this turn, she gets 5k. That 5k does matter, by the way. It sounds kind of like 5k, but trust me, it matters because we'll be meeting certain conditions with the grade 1s that we need for this. And then her second skill says once per turn, you Soul Blast, discard a card from your hand, and this unit gets 5k. And if you discarded a 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞 from your hand, for this cost you draw a card. So essentially, if you discard a 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞, pretty much if you discard everything that's not a trigger, I believe, then it includes orders, then you draw a card. So essentially, it's just a good filter. She's not bad, and she becomes a 10k attacker, and of course that makes her 20 total. And then plus, you know, if you put something like her skill on it, then it makes it even stronger. We have 4 copies of Limitless Colors Pario, I think Pario. So this is kind of the weaker, this is probably the weakest card in this entire deck. I just want to make that clear. So the reason why I'm saying this is if in case you want to replace this with something else, or maybe drop a copy for another thing, I do recommend it, as this deck does need soul, and you run out of soul pretty quickly, and there's no way to get it back unless you have a soul charging unit. And so just something to keep in mind as you playtest more of this card, you may want to replace it. But our skill says if you have a rear guard with 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞 in its card name, this unit gets 5k. Pretty useful, but like I said, this one also gets 5k. This one gains power, so like I guess it's not great. And then her second skill says when placed, look at top 7 cards for 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞 from among them and pretty much point to your hand. This card is very important, the 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞, but because you cycle through your deck so much, you'll probably see it anyway, and that's why I say like this card isn't the best option, but she's not terrible. Like I said, obviously you want to run her because her card says 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞 in the name, and because of that, and the deck searches for a lot of 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞s, you want her. But I wouldn't, like, honestly, if you think that you need some kind of soul, or you think you may need a tech of some kind, maybe dropping 1 for something is good for you. And that's actually where I'm going to go into is our tech card. So I have a fun fact, guys. This deck has exactly 32 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞 cards. That's not including the triggers, right? So what happens is there's actually 1 card that you can put in for something else. There literally isn't any other cards to choose from. Even if you run max orders, max everything, so you need a flex slot anyway. And you can make this another starter. So the starter is a 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞. So if you want extra shield, you can actually make this into an extra starter. You can even run an extra starter of these and drop 1 of these if you want just extra shield value. I run this instead because this is a generic soul charger. It says when retired from guard circle, you may put this card into soul, so if you guard with her, she can go into soul, which is important. And her other skill says when placed, you can soul charge. She has a Roselia skill, but we're not here for the Roselia part, we're just here for the soul charge. So I literally run this just to have extra soul, because like I said, you do not get your soul back in this deck unless you ride. And if you don't ride, you don't see your soul. So, and some conditions you need soul for. And now let's go into our grade 1s. Mad Dog's Laminate Masking. Her skill says when placed, put 2 cards from the top of your deck into your drop zone, essentially mill 2, and then it says Soul Blast. Discard a card from your hand and return a Raise a Soul in from your drop zone to hand. So this is amazing. This is literally a 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞 card in a Raise a Soul in a Bang Dream deck, essentially. Because you mill 2 and then you Soul Blast, discard a card, and you pick 1 up. So essentially you're cycling through, you're getting what you need, and you're milling. And you want the mill because your orders are very important for that concept. And we'll get into the orders. The orders are right here, so we'll talk about the orders as we're going through. And like I said, this card's very important. I think just the way it cycles is just really nice. But again, it's a Soul Blast cost, so like I said, be very cautious about you use this, and what you pick up what matters. This is like, this card literally plays like 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞 from Granblue, so what you pick up is very important, so you want to utilize this. And by the way, you can pick up orders with this card. Anything that has Raise a Soul in the little key text right here, it's kind of like this small spot right here, you can pick it up, so it's just great. It's just great. And then the other grade 1 is Chew 2, which is the one that this card searches for. This card is Brilliance. This is another card that pretty much makes this whole engine run very smoothly, and her skill is extremely good. She's got 2 skills, and they're both wonderful skills. So her second skill says Vanguard Rearguard, rest this unit, look at 5 cards from top of your deck, reveal up to 2 Raise a Soul and music cards from among them, and put them into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. This ability can be used once per turn. So pretty much what she says is you pick up 2 orders and then everything else goes to the bottom, which sounds kind of not great, but it's actually is. 1, this deck shuffles kind of often, so you'll probably shuffle whatever you put at the bottom, but 2, you for a rest, you get 2 orders back, and those orders are really good in these decks. And then on top of the fact, you're filtering, and it's just a literal you just grab 2 and you call it, so you can put it as a rearguard rester, do her skill, and then get what you need. But she has another skill, and this skill is actually good too. It says at the beginning of your battle phase, the original crit of all your Raise a Soul with 30k or greater on Vanguard or Rearguard becomes 2 until end of turn. Only units with 30k or greater at the beginning of battle phase become 2. So what this says is that if you have 3 rearguards, because you can only attack 3 times, if you have 1 Vanguard and 2 rearguards with 30k or higher, then yes, you get an extra crit. So it's kind of like a Coral / Dimension Police playstyle. Essentially what happens is you use this card to gain power, you use this card to gain power, use your orders to gain power, and then what you do is everything has a crit, everything has high numbers, beyond here, beyond the board, kind of doing its thing. You'll just rest her every turn, do your thing, do your cycling, and move on with your life. So it's pretty great. Let's go talk about our orders, and then we'll talk about triggers. So orders, we'll go ahead and start with the grade 3. So we have, I run all orders and I run all 4 of them at 4. I run all 3 of them at 4. So here we have Expose Burnout. So this card has, this is your win con essentially, so you want to be careful when you want to use this. It says at the beginning of your battle phase, if your drop zone has 7 or more Raise a Soul and music cards, until the end of turn, your front row gets 10k. And then you can counterblast, and says all of your opponent's units cannot be increased from trigger effects. So pretty much what happens if your opponent lands a defense, it does not go off. They still stay at 13. And I run 4 copies of these because orders are so important, based off of her getting power for having orders, and based off of this stating that if you have orders in your drop, stuff happens. I think you should run max orders. As you go through your deck so quickly anyway, you'll have enough hand and shield and do whatever you need. But yeah, so I run 4 copies of this because it's your win con. It's kind of the card you want to go into later on, and then you just want to finish off your opponent and all that stuff. And then next we have the grade 2 music order, and this card is called Impossible. This is the promo card. We didn't have it for a while. This is why I haven't built this deck. So for those of you guys are thinking like, wow, you're like kind of late, OuterOrange, it's been some time. Well, yeah, we didn't have this card. We just got it, and like now you can actually play the deck. Without this card, this deck was not functional in my opinion. I literally don't think you could play this deck. But this card says when placed, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards from your hand, and has a secondary skill. If your drop zone is 5 or more musics, all your front row gets 5k. Brilliant card. Again, it adds pressure, and you can cycle through your deck like you're a little bit faster. You draw 2, discard 2, so you can discard orders, discard things you don't want, whatever it is you don't want, you just discard real quick and you get draw. So you can discard 2 orders and get like, some shield back. So this card overall is just really amazing. We'll put it down here. Pretty good stuff. And then lastly, we have the grade 1 order called Riot, R-I-O-T. When placed, reveal 2 cards on top of your deck, put all Raise a Soul from among them into your hand, and put the rest at the bottom any order, bottom of your deck any order. So essentially, if you look at at top 2, and they are both Raise a Soul, and you can just take both of them and put them into your hand. Essentially, the only thing that kind of falls out of this is triggers, and that's pretty much it. Triggers and this one random card I have. So that's the only thing. So this is pretty awesome. I think this is really good early turn card. You could play it and then, you know, do its skill and, you know, get a bunch of Raise a Soul cards. It's literally a free +2 because this card isn't really giving much value. Like, you want to get it out of your hand anyway. You want it in your drop as soon as possible. You might as well play this. So it's really, really brilliant. Another very amazing card to add on to the fun engine of this whole thing. So that's our grade 1s. Let's go ahead and talk about our triggers. If we want to run 4 heals, because heals are nice and you need them and they're important. And then you want to run 4 draw PGs. And then you want to run 4 crit. I have 1 crit that's not a Raise a Soul crit, but they don't have Raise a Soul in their name, so they actually don't follow under this whole thing. Like, all the crits are called Sparkling Memories for literally every single Bang Dream deck. Same goes for the heals. Same goes for the PGs, if I'm not mistaken. So literally doesn't matter which ones you run, and they do not affect the deck. Meaning, like, if the deck searches for certain things, these are not searchable, as it does not state that it's a Raise a Soul in the little text that I talked about. 8 crit, and then we got the starter here. Some people will run draw. As from what I've seen, I think draw is kind of scary, as this deck can deck out really fast between these 2 cards, order cards, like the ones that draw and cycle through, and soul charging a little bit here and there, and just kind of, this deck can deck out really fast. So I personally think it's a little spooky to run draws, but I see why people want to run draws, just to get to your pieces faster. But I think I think you need crits. The faster you kill your opponent, the better chance you have of just surviving, as the crit pressure is really high, and the more you can add on pressure with your triggers, the better. So it's just something to think about. And yeah, here's a starter. And by the way, this is what I was talking about. You can actually get another starter and slot this out, or get another starter, slot one of these out. Like I said, I don't think this card is as mandatory as this one is. So like, getting this is like kind of but getting this is just way better. So that's just why I was saying, like, you can literally run an extra starter if you want, just to make up for the fact that you only have 32 Raise a Soul cards. So aside from that, let's go ahead and talk about Force 1, Force 2 options, and then we're gonna go into a Mulligan. I also forgot to mention a Quick Shield. Need one of those. I have the Bang Dream Quick Shield, but you know, you can also have any other quick shields unless you have a quick shield. So let's go talk about Force 1 and Force 2. 9 out of 10 times you're gonna go Force 1. I don't know what to tell you guys. You don't really need to go Force 2 unless you're just really like, unless you're like really missing your pieces or something like that. Your chances are you're not going to. So you always want to go Force 1, as again, you need the 30k condition as quickly as possible. Your original crit of all your Vanguard stuff becomes 2 anyway, so literally this is just useless. Let's go ahead and go do a quick mulligan here. Okay, so I really hope to shuffle this deck enough, as it was literally just, you know, a full thing. So here we have our, something like this. We're just gonna drop our triggers, put them to the bottom. I'll keep her just because she's not too bad. And we did 2 back, and then we're gonna got an order, and then we got another grade 2. Awesome. Let's go ahead and shuffle. Let's figure out if our fake opponent is going first or second. So we roll, we get a 12. Wow. They roll, they do not get a 12. We go. So we're gonna ignore a quick shield. We're about there. So we're gonna go ahead. Here's our kind of starting turn. We're gonna draw. We're gonna ride. We're gonna draw again. I would recommend playing playing your music card right now, even though I know it's like kind of early, but you might as well play it. Just go ahead and reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. If they're Raise a Soul, you put them to your hand. This one's a Raise a Soul, so this will go to hand. This one will go to the bottom in any orders. That's a crit, bye crit. And this pretty much does its thing, but you can also rest your Vanguard here, since you're not swinging anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and rest and look at 5 cards on top of our deck. And we're gonna take 2 music cards from them and put into our hand, and the rest go to the bottom. So let's go ahead and take a grade 2 and a grade 3 music. We're really stacking our music. These go to the bottom. I'm just gonna put the heal on top and put maybe I'll put the music right there. Put the heal as the top card. We're gonna go ahead and put that to the bottom. And then it's the opponent's turn. And this retires. So the way music works, they go in the center circle and then they retire at the end. So that's that. We do have a very awkward hand here, but you know what? It's okay. It's not too bad. Honestly, we have no way to guard, so we're probably gonna go ahead and take. If our opponent hits us, we're gonna take it. So that's a grade 2 going to the damage, and then we're gonna go ahead and go our turn. So we're gonna draw. Oh, we got best girl, or one of the best girls. So we're gonna go ahead and ride. We're gonna go ahead and ride into her. She says top 7 for a Chocho, or Cho 2, which I guess just means Chocho as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7. Oh, we do hit it. So here we go. We hit her, and I believe she just goes to her hand. And we do shuffle from this, so all those cards we just put at the bottom do get shuffled. So with that being said, we kind of got our we got those heals and crits that we just put down there out of that zone and back into their place. So that's good for us. So there we go ahead. We did our little minor shuffling. Cool beans. This goes to hand. I don't see why we don't play it, because we should definitely play it. So we're gonna go ahead and play it here. We're gonna rest her. Do the same thing again, like a top 5. This time we will get 1. These all will go to the bottom in any order. We're gonna go ahead and, oh wow, a heal into a draw? Goodness gracious, I don't even know which way to do this. I guess we can do, do we have a grade 3? We do not have a grade 3. I hope we get a grade 3. If not, I'll make us have a grade 3 just so we can mulligan properly. I guess we'll do something like that maybe. So yeah, that's our stack right there. Put that to the bottom. And yeah, so we pick this up. And then we're gonna go ahead and play this. It says when placed, put 2 cards from the top of your deck into your drop zone. 1, 2. And then you can discard, you can Soul Blast and return a Raise the Soul from drop zone to hand. So we're gonna go ahead, we'll pick up a Cho. Pick up a Chew, and she just stays there doing her thing. And then we can go ahead and play this card here just for extra soul when placed will soul. Because we need that soul. She doesn't do too much. Actually, we'll place her here just to make that a little bit more convenient for us. And we're gonna go ahead and place this girl here. We're gonna go ahead and use her skill. So she says if an order has been played, hasn't been played yet, but we'll go ahead and use her other skill, which is Soul Blast. Discard a card from our hand. We can actually drop an order because we have like a ton of these. Let's drop it to grade 2 order. And she gets an additional 5k. And then if you discard a Raise a Soul, in which these do count, we draw a card. So there's our draw. And now we can pretty much just play an order. Since we really need to see our grade 2, I'm going to go ahead and play the grade 2 order. It kind of sucks because we're not going to get too much value out of it, but at least we draw 2 and discard. And wow, those are crits that we just discarded. That we just got. So I'm gonna go ahead and discard the grade 1 order. Maybe I'll discard the grade 2, maybe the grade 3 order. And yeah, we'll call it there. We don't get the 5k, but we did play an order, so she gets 5k and another 5k on top of that, so she is 10k total. So we do that. Oh, sorry, it goes here. And then we just kind of swing at the opponent. Swing, and then we'll swing with Van. We'll do our check, it's a grade 2, and then we'll swing with this, which is 28, and then we'll pass turn. Honestly, if we have a way to guard, I would recommend guarding because we don't need any counter blast. We can go like this. Okay, so we guarded through. You know, we don't want to really like. We don't really want to take. We don't really want to take too much damage right now because we're kind of in a good spot. And we draw, and we get a grade 3. Great, that's awesome. So we stand everything. Oh, this was retired. That's my bad. So retired. We go into our grade 3 here. Get our force marker. Yeah, nice solid Kai. Nice solid Kaikun into this. Hello, Kai. We're gonna go ahead and put it on a rear since she gets 15k on her own. There's really no point not to. We'll go ahead and put on this rear. And actually, let me just check something here real quick. I think the grade 3. This one's all Raise the Soul units, so we're probably gonna have to get rid of this. We already met its condition, or we could honestly we could have intercepted with it, in which case it would go into Soul. So that's probably the best approach there is to intercept with it as we were guarding through. So she just disappears, and she also punishes our Soul up a little bit. So now we have kind of a few options we can go here. So we put the force marker here because we're gonna be kind of stacking some stuff here. Keep in mind we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Of the orders right now, so we're in a pretty good spot there. So we rest her. Let's look at top. Wow, we actually caught literally nothing. So I guess we're just gonna put our crit there. Probably gonna want to see this card. This card we don't need to see at all, so I'm probably gonna stack it like this. So we didn't hit any orders, so everything just stays the same. These go to the bottom. Our bottom is still stacked, by the way, something to note. So yeah, that was kind of a fail. I don't want to shuffle yet. I think we're kind of okay. We don't need to shuffle, but we'll go ahead and play this card here. And her skill says, you know, if an order was played, it would do that, but we also can Soul Blast and get 5k, and then we can discard a card. We'll discard this girl because she's useless, and because of that, we do draw into a trigger. And also this is backwards. And then that is that. And then we can also play our order here. And it says to reveal top 2. And again, we're kind of in the same situation. This one will go to the bottom. And this one will go to hand. And then last but not least, we are kind of in a predicament here where we didn't reach our condition quite as awesomely as we want to, but we can counterblast and give something 10k. So we'll go ahead and give her 10k. So she will have the crit on her with the skill that we have active here, as she is exactly 30 with 5 and 5 from her own, making it 20, and then making it 10 and plus 10 off of this. So that's not too bad. That's not too bad. And then pretty much what we do from here is we can just pressure our opponent whichever way we want. If we go into battle phase, this she gets an extra. She has 5 on her, so she's nothing too crazy. And we have this playing, and that's pretty much it. And we could just swing with our Vanguard. It is 28, so we're a little short. They do whatever they want to do. We went a crit. You can stack it wherever you want. Keep in mind that the crits won't activate from here in point. But depending on how they guard, you put your crits wherever you think is necessary, and then you swing, and it is now their turn. We are getting close to our condition, though, of having 7 orders in our drop, which is very important. But keep in mind, like, your deck usually won't be harassed too much, which is nice because your hand will usually deal with this stuff pretty well. But at this point, we could probably handle taking some damage. I would recommend PGing one of the orders just so we could hit our 7. So here we are. We stand everything. We draw into another card. Oh, look, a perfect card. And yeah, so from here on out, we do have our 1 order, and we can also still use these skills. They're still active. So she also still has her 15 back. So she does have her 15. And then you can Soul Blast for both of these and get the skill if you want. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to Soul Blast both of them just to get their skills. So they're each going to pretty much gain some power. And then we can actually discard for one of them and gain the extra power. We got to draw. Oh, it's not too bad. Not too bad. So I Soul Blasted for both, but to get the 5k for each of them. But I should have really done it one at a time. But we did draw off a 1, and then actually we'll do this one where we'll discard to draw again, because you have to discard Raise a Soul card specifically, so the triggers won't count. And then at this point, you can actually, if you have the pressure, I would recommend playing your order here. So we're going to go ahead and play our order. It says at the beginning of your battle phase, if your drops on 7 or more cards, which we do, that are magic, that are music cards, then all your front row get an additional 10k, and then you can counterblast, and all your opponent's units cannot be increased or decreased by triggers. Increased from trigger effects. So yeah, so here pretty much there. These each have the 10 on them right now. 5k off of playing in order, 5k off of its own skill, 5k playing order, 5k off its own skill, and then on top of that, I don't even think we need to bother with this. I think we're good here. And then she gets the additional 15. We got the force marker, and then also once we go into battle phase here in a second, we'll even have an additional 10k. So let's go into the battle phase. We get an additional 10k. And then also off of this skill, we can counterblast, and now triggers cannot be activated, or trigger effects cannot be activated specifically, or it cannot be increased from trigger effects. So if your opponent wins defenses, they do not activate. Now, keep in mind, because we have the front, because we have everything, the top, these rear guards up here, all are above 30k power. This is exactly 30. This is going to be 38s. This is 10, 20, 30, 40. So we are officially past that point, which means everything has a wonderful crit on them. We can pretend that's a crit right there. So we have crit on everything. So you can start attacking with your Vanguard here. This is 38 on its own. And again, if your opponent lands triggers or whatever, it doesn't matter. So yeah, so that's our first check. So I'm putting power over here, and then check 2. It's a grade 2. Cool beans. Then again, like if your opponent lands any defenses whatsoever, it doesn't matter. Then again, you'll be attacking with this guy, which would be 18, 28, 38 with 2 crits. And then you'll be doing this side, which is 18, 28, 38, 40, 58 with 2 crits. You drop this and you go ahead. And that's pretty much how the deck plays out. And of deck, I hope that kind of made sense. I think we mulliganed that actually pretty well. I would say that's pretty much how the game will go. Just be cautious of your orders. Make sure you keep your grade 3s as handy as possible and keep track of how many orders you have in your drop, as that's very important. Like I said, this does have kind of like a Granblue touch. I hope you guys enjoyed the profile. I hope I made sense as I was explaining kind of how this deck works. I know it's a little confusing. This deck does take like a couple piloting to kind of understand, but I honestly think it's one of the most fun decks I've played in V. I would say the only deck that I played that was funner than this deck is honestly Granblue. That's why I love Granblue so much, and Pale Moon. This deck is kind of up there. I just think the generation of how you can do things and just kind of go through your stuff is just like super fun. Is it like top tier? Probably not. I mean, It's a 3 attacking deck, and you really need to pressure, and you'll probably deck out before it matters, or you might die if you don't have enough hand to survive certain things. So it is you have to be kind of careful with what you're going for. You check it out. That's why I'm making this video for those out there that don't know what Bang Dream deck to pick up, in case they do want to try Bang Dream out, as it's pretty cheap right now. I'm not saying it's great. I think if you literally ignore the perfect cards, like if you just ignore the perfect cards, all the decks are really cheap to build. But the perfect cards are $10 a pop. So sadly, the perfect cards are making it a lot hard to build a deck. But if you want to play casually, you know, you can put perfect cards from your other clans in if you want to play against friends or whatever, and they don't care what kind of perfect cards you have in there. If you don't want to take it to locals, if you want to just avoid locals, you can honestly just put whatever perfect cards you want, and you can just buy the main cards and just play with other perfect cards from other clans, and it doesn't matter, but you can actually play the deck, because it doesn't matter what kind of perfect card it is, right, as long as it's a perfect card. I hope this gives you some information about, you know, if you want to build Bang Dream. I hope this gives you information to build Bang Dream. I hope you get a nice resource out of this. I hope it helps you. Thank you so much for everything. We recently hit 1K, and obviously it's gonna be there's probably a video already out about it or whatever, but I want to say thank you to everyone that let me reach this point of hitting 1K, so thank you so much for that. But leave in the comments below what your favorite Bang Dream deck, if you've been playing Bang Dream and all that fun stuff, and any other decks that you may find interest in. I always love hearing your comments, so feel free to join in on that. Other than that, guys, it's been real, it's been fun. Rock out, peace out. Peace out, 𝗥𝗢𝗖𝗞. Have a good rocking adventure with everything SP, all that fun stuff. So yeah, guys, bye!